Several things. First of all, we will ask some questions to the board because since the announcement of the takeover by UBS, we didn't really get answers from the board. What are they concretely doing, potentially claims against former management? It's also the role of the board of directors to look for responsibility in the situation. As shareholder, we lost a lot of money and we need to know what the board is doing.
Would you like to see accountability for management, for Credit Suisse management? Is that what you'd be looking for?
Exactly, and potentially trying to retrieve some of the variable pay that was granted to former management who may have failed in their duties to protect actually shareholders' interest.
Now, there was one element of the AGM that was removed, and that was actually with respect to financial liability for the 2022 statements. Do you think that was a wise decision on their part, or did they do it preemptively knowing that there would be some investors who would be potentially looking to take a very hard stance on that topic?
I'm quite sure the discharge wouldn't have been granted. Ethos has recommended shareholders to oppose. I know that ISS was also opposing, and many shareholders were actually opposing the discharge for 2022. So the result will be the same. If they have put it to the vote, they would have had a no vote, so they wouldn't have been discharged. So the result is the same. It means shareholders, we have all free legal rights to potentially act and claim some damage to the board.
Would you consider going down the legal route?
We're still looking for possibilities. It's quite difficult with the Swiss company law to prove the damage. Mismanagement of a company is not per se something we can concretely act against former member of the management or current member of the management, but still we need to be sure there was no or that they gave the whole truth to investor and to the market. So there is still open question. As I said, we will ask a question today and we hope to have some answers.
Now, one of the top 10 shareholders, Norges Investment Management, so the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund, said that they're looking to not support the renomination of the chairman along with other 6 directors on the board. What is your position?
We recommend at Ethos to oppose all board members who have been acting for more than 2 years, because those people potentially have a conflict of interest, because we want them to work potentially against former management. So that's our position, to really oppose all those board members. Mr. Lehman, the current chair, is chairman since only 1 year. So we still approve his re-election this year because we want him to do the job now. He's still quite fresh. I also understand the position of the Norwegian Bank, but I would say where they, when actually Ethos for a couple of years, we did oppose the re-election of Mr. Rohner because we think he had a lot of responsibility in what's happening, and we were opposing his re-election a couple of years ago.
Now, one notable feature of the takeover deal, and there are a lot of notable features, but one of them is that neither UBS nor Credit Suisse shareholders were consulted the weekend that deal was put together. Do you think the outcome would have been different if the shareholders had had a say?
I'm clearly sure that Credit Suisse shareholder would have opposed such a deal. I mean, the 3.25 billion value for Credit Suisse is less than 7% of the shareholder equity at year-end 2022. And taking into consideration the write-down, completely write-down of 81 convertible bond, this is 60 billion additional equity. Mm-hmm. So if you come up with the total equity of Credit Suisse, including the conversion, it's about 60 billion. So of course, during the first quarter, we know there was some huge liquidity issues. So financial situation was certainly very bad, so that the government took the decision. But we will never know, because as shareholder, usually we should have had the financial statement at the time of the merger, and this is something we will never know.
Well, potentially. I mean, this is also an opportunity for you to ask those questions at the AGM. But were you surprised at the extent of how cheap the deal was, essentially, for UBS, that they were able to come in with the $3 billion deal and actually get it through? Yeah,
it's quite amazing. I was so surprised when I heard the first figure was 1 billion. I was saying it's not the 1st of April, it's a joke. And so knowing that Credit Suisse board approved this means that really the situation was really bad. But still, I am doubtful that it was that bad, because we still had some business performing The Swiss bank typically last year in 2022 still made 1.6 billion profit before tax for 2022, a bad year, but so it means some divisions were still working well. So yeah, the outflows during the first quarter was so massive, so the situation was certainly bad.
Yeah.